everybody, Shane Severson here, Legacy Realty, coming to you with our 2019 October market report. And I just want to go over a few things. As I was thinking about our stats and our numbers, a couple things hit me that I haven't really talked about a whole lot. And that is, if you watch or talk to other agents, sometimes their statistics or numbers are a little bit different. Maybe average days on market, maybe their average sales price is a little off or a little different from what you hear me do or other agents. And so I want to take the first section of our market update here and I want to explain how that happens. While I'm doing that, I want to show you, I'm going to start pulling my stats and I'm going to use some graphs that I have not used before. And so I want to show you how I get mine, where I get mine from, so that you know every time I talk and do my market updates where that data is coming from, and you can see how that works. So let me jump right in here and let me show you. If you look here, this is the RE Colorado. This is MLS. This is the site that all agents use. This is where all the listings go live, all of that. So that's where most agents get their numbers. There's a few different graphs and different systems within the MLS that you can pull statistics. The first thing I want to say, the reason why a lot of agents are pulling different stats and numbers, it depends on what area, what type of properties, it depends on a lot of those things. So I'm going to start using very general information so it hits everybody and it makes sense to you. So I'm going to put these on so I can kind of read, and I want to show you a couple things that we are going to use. So if you look right here, I am using all price ranges. So all properties, all price ranges. The only thing that I've kind of tweaked in here is I'm using single family detached homes. So this does not include condos. This does not include townhomes. So we are going to use, when I do all my market updates, we are going to use single detached properties. We're using all bedrooms. Doesn't matter if you have 30 or if you have one, all bathrooms, etc. So that's what we are going to use, so you know every time what we're looking at. The other thing that we are using, if you look up right here, we are using the entire MLS. There's all kinds of different counties, cities, you can put all kinds of different zip codes, you can pull sections, but I am going to use the entire MLS. I think it is just easier to do it that way. That way it makes more sense to you out there watching these market updates. All right, so now that you see what I'm going to be using and what I am going to talk about in my market updates every week, I'll use this specific setup every time so that my numbers stay very systematic and stay the same. A couple things I want to look at and I want to show you. If you look at this graph, which is kind of cool, you can see our chart. I talk about this graph that constantly goes upward, and it has since like in the 70s. The graph looks almost identical with a couple spots that level out here, and I'm going to talk about a few of those spots here in just a minute. But if you look, our average market here is $511,062. So $511,062. We're up, you can see, by 3%. So we're holding pretty steady at that 3% mark, far from our 10%, but it is still climbing. It is still growing at the 3% that we've talked about. So the market's still really steady. I don't see that slowing down or stopping any. The other thing that I want to show you is our active listings. You can see our active listings are actually coming up right here as well, and you can see that in October we had 8,040 listings on the entire MLS, which is up 17% over last year. So we have to go back to October. We were at 6,850. We were down a little last year, so that's that 17% increase isn't a huge thing. It's not as big of a deal as what it looks like. You can see it kind of jumps up right here where it's actually been pretty steady for some time. So, but it does show that our active listings, we're getting a lot more active listings coming on the market, which just shows people are selling. The market is still very active and turning over. Last statistic that I want to talk about in this market update is our days on market. If you look at our average days on market, we are at 34 days on market. So if you go back, which is up 13%, which sounds like a huge amount until you realize we're only talking about a month on the market. So if we go back to October, we were at 30 days. So again, 13% is a big number. It is climbing, but when you're talking only 4 days more on the market, it doesn't seem like that big of a deal. If I were, and the reason why I wanted to use these graphs and everything else this time was if we were to talk only about days on market up 13%, you would think the sky is falling until you look at this graph and you realize overall it looks like it's almost the exact same, and it really is. So what do we take from this? We take from this that we have a very steady market. It's a good market. It is steady, and it is still a seller's market. We're still in a seller's market. Now, here's the thing. A seller's market means it's great for sellers. You're going to get your price. It's going to sell fast. And so as long as you time the market right, sellers, this is great news for you. But here's the deal. Many times buyers think it's a seller's market. I shouldn't buy right now. No, that's not the case. It's actually just the opposite. In a seller's market, you see, if I go back here, you see this price continually growing. And in that case, if it continues, and it will, buyers, the key is it's a seller's market, so buy earlier than later. Buy now because it's going to continue to go. The good news is the second you buy, guess what? You are now a seller and your value is continuing. So that's kind of the market. It's the same. It really hasn't changed much. It's great news for everybody in Denver. The key is buy, buy, buy. You want to buy properties. It's going to continue. Let's see. The last thing I want to talk about here, which I thought was phenomenal and pretty crazy when you actually see it in graph form, is there are still people out there that are still a little nervous. Shane, I just don't know. Now, with that, let me be very clear. I'm not God. I don't claim to be. I don't have a crystal ball. So I can't promise anything. All we're doing is watching the market, watching the economy, and tracking the trends and so forth. But with that being said, let's keep perspective on all of this. And I want to show you and explain to you what I talk about every month, but I want to show it to you on a graph form so that it kind of clicks in your brain and makes much more sense. If we look at these price ranges, if you come down here, you see this constant graph continually growing. Now, here's what people are nervous of. Outside of the absolute collapse of the mortgage industry, I'm not quite sure we can count that as part of the Denver market per se. So what we're really saying we're nervous about, and I want you to see this on the graph, is this leveling out right here. So if you look at, if we pick January of 2011, our average price on the market, I can't even believe that that's the case, 8 years ago. That's what I'm trying to tell people, is it was 284 and now we're over 500. You should be buying in Denver, and you should be buying as many properties as you can. In January, it was $284,000. Now, here's what we're nervous of. Go to January of 2012, and it was 280. So what we're saying is the almost leveling off of the market, the level, not the drop, but the level. It is a drop, but $4,000 in a year. We're not even talking percentages. That's such a slow amount. It's more of a leveling off. Now, that's what we're nervous of, that we're going to lose $4,000 in a year. Now, I want to show you what a market like Denver, what it takes to actually cause even just a leveling out. And I hope that seeing this in graph form, that this will show you a lot. So look at this. Again, you see this level, you see this line right here that's more just a leveling out. We're talking about 2011 to 2012. I want to show you, I talk a lot about the inventory, so months supply. Do you see this graph? Do you see how normal market in Denver is very level? It has been, but do you see this drastic drop? That is what it takes in order to just level a market out. So if we look back in January of 2011, where that thing started to level off, we were at 6 months inventory. We talk about this all the time, that at 6 months inventory, that's kind of the general point for the market to become a buyer's market. So if you look at this, we had 6 months inventory. Look, from 2011, it dropped in January, we were at 5, and it just went down. 2013, we jumped all the way down to 2.9, and as we talked about, we are at 1.9. So we need to, go 4, 5 times, I guess 3 times what we are currently at, just over 3 times the amount of homes hitting the market. That is staggering, that we could add 3 times as many homes on the market. But that's what it's going to take to bring us back. Look at this other one as well. We're talking about our listings. So again, new listings hitting, or active listings, I'm sorry. If you look at active listings, do you see the same graph? Same exact thing. The market completely slides in order for the prices to just level. So if you look at, again, January of 2011, in the entire MLS, we had 17,000 listings, and just, you can see it drop off drastically, and then it has leveled off and has been pretty consistent, and we are currently at 8,000 listings. So again, we would need to double the amount of listings, double the amount of overall just inventory that's on the market. And if you look at days on the market, that's the last one, you can see. Do you see 2011? We're right here in January, 87 days on the market. This is mind-blowing. And it even actually came up a little bit. We hit at an all-time high, 94 days on the market. Now, if you average from the 70s, average days on the market, we're closer to about 90. You can see this is pretty steady here, and then it just drops off. And so we need to get to 90 days, 3 months on the market for your house to sit before the prices start to set a little bit in our market. And as you can see, we are currently at 34 days. So as you can see, it has been kind of crazy. Hopefully looking at those statistics, hopefully looking at those graphs, you see what I'm talking about all the time. Anybody, and I talk to people, I just had a conversation last night at our party, people still thinking, yeah, but I think the market's settling, and the fact is they're just not in the business. They're not tracking what we as agents, and especially good agents, are tracking. The market is good. The market is hot. We're getting ready to do, last thing I say, I'll promise, and then I'll end. We're getting ready at Legacy to do an investment seminar for people who want to buy multiple properties. If your house is going to go up $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 at a time, why not buy 2, 3, 4? You're making $100,000 a year or more, and it continues to grow. The key to Legacy is your wealth management. We want to manage your equity, manage your property so that you're making the absolute most money you can. I'm going to do another video probably in about a week to 2 weeks to show you more statistics on investment properties and what they're doing currently, and it is also staggering. So the market is crazy hot. It is awesome, and looks like it's going to continue for a while. Hope that helps. Hope you guys are doing great. God bless you. We will see you here in a week or two when I do this next video. God bless you. We'll talk to you next time.